the technology of it all. All right, so the first thing we have to talk about is the minutes for approval. So we have the January and the February meeting minutes. Want to just take a minute or two to look them over? Unless you already have them, just think for 2 minutes.
I need your last name. Because I know that was one thing that was missing in my meeting minutes. That would be fabulous. MOLINARI. Thank you.
And what's your first name? Brian. And how do you say your last name? Molinari. Nice to meet you, Michaela.
Brian is kitty corner from Tyler Park towards Manhattan.
Oh, nice.
Pine Street, I think, right?
Or Piner and Radar Street.
I know what that is. I'm on Stevens Street. Yeah, it's close.
Yes.
Great neighborhood.
Yeah.
Do you have the whole packet? Yeah. Great. So we're just looking over the minutes now, and then we'll vote on them. Does anyone want to make a motion to accept the minutes from January? I'll just keep reading. These are very extensive minutes.
Yeah, I motion to accept them.
And am I the only person that can second that? Oh, no, Christine, Anna Christina can.
Can you second Anna Christina?
I'm sorry, I am
Sustainability Council?
seconding.
All right, all voting in favor.
So this, the January minutes seem to be pretty, it's not new business, right? Or that is the new business as part of the minutes, number two. I just like to point out that my name is spelled wrong in most of this.
Thank you. How do you spell your name?
So it's Kevin, Kevin,
Uh-huh.
Kevin, Kevin, Soleil, Soleil.
Soleil. I will make those
It
changes.
appears in various variations.
I apologize that, and that'll probably be the same for the February minutes.
It's okay.
All right, I will make that correction. Thank you.
All right, so now we're on to the February minutes, so we'll make that correction for the February minutes too. Anyone want a motion to accept the February minutes? I think it's-
Second motion.
I'll second.
All right, all voting in favor? Aye.
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 No abstentions and none opposed, looks like. Great. All right, so let's go on to the first new business item, which is a bike-friendly city application, which Kevin, you're doing work on.
Mm-hmm. So we kind of took a collective look at the application process, and it's a pretty significant set of questions.
Mm-hmm.
So I was hoping that we would work together with city planner. I think it's mostly questions like they're not asking us to do anything or make any progress. It's the answer like, what is the current state?
Yeah, so I spoke after our last meeting. I spoke with our transportation engineer, Liz Altman, and she has indicated that she's happy to come and talk to the Sustainability Council about some of the transportation initiatives that they are working on. And she would probably also be the best point of coordination for the application. So if it seems like a good next step, I'm happy to connect you with her via email. If I have your email, I think it's an UMass Lowell email, right?
Yeah, so I have two emails. That's
Okay.
another point of, I've been getting emails from two different directions. So my
Okay.
personal and my UMass Lowell. I'd like to keep this one on my personal
We can do that.
Email because it is not an official UMass Lowell business.
Okay.
So that is Kevin, Kevin, H Soleil, SOLEIL, @gmail.com.
Okay. I will connect you.
Okay. And I have received a few there too, so should be able to pull up.
So anything Sustainability Council associated, that should go to your Kevin
Please,
H. So, yeah,
please.
got it. That's
Yep.
doable. Once we start getting it right, we'll just keep getting it.
It'd be great.
Okay, great.
So I think that is a good next step. So if they want to meet, I will. I know I'm going to be absent from the next meeting as it's scheduled, but I'd be happy to meet before then. And I think too, Greg, right? This is like your area.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you
so
want to be?
we should
included?
all.
Yeah.
You should continue to be involved.
Can I?
Yeah, of course. But you're a
Be your resident
person,
of Lowell.
Yeah, you're a resident of, you're an interested party.
Okay.
Yeah, the more the
Oh.
merrier.
And I don't think I don't know if I'm a member yet.
Yeah, and I
officially
can,
either,
I
so-
can go too, because I'd be interested in it,
Yeah.
and
So is that something we should schedule outside of a meeting time, or is that something we should schedule? Please advise.
I think that's a good question. I don't think you're officially a member yet. And have you officially resigned?
Yes, I got a nice letter from Tom Goldman.
Okay. Thanking you for your service. Okay. Yeah, I think it would probably be okay then if to connect you and Michaela and Greg with Liz.
Okay.
I think that's even with the members that we have now. I think that still should be okay.
okay. So we'll set up a meeting. Do you want to, could you maybe make an email introduction and
Yeah.
then we'll set up a meeting?
Yep.
Do you want to also go to the meeting?
I am okay just getting an update from the
All
group.
right, sounds good.
I have a number of grants that I'm going to be working on the next few months, so
Yes, that you can be an informed party,
I like
not
that.
irresponsible, accountable, or this and other.
And I do think this will take a number of passes, but the first meeting we can get in, we can look at the application in detail and say, like, here's the stuff that's going to be easy. Here's the stuff that's going to really take some time and effort and digging and possibly like kind of get a timeline together.
And if you happen to have a copy of the application, I don't think I have that. I'd love to just attach that to the introductory email.
Happy to do it. It's right here on the computer.
All right, perfect. If you could email that to me, that'd be wonderful.
All right, so far it's Greg, me, and Kevin. Does anyone else want to go to or be included?
Sorry, Mr. Who you mean?
Liz?
Transportation engineer to talk about bike mobility and becoming a bike-friendly city, filling out the application for that.
And who is the transportation engineer for the city again?
It's Liz Altman.
What is the name? Liz?
Elizabeth Liz Altman. I think it's OLTSMAN. I don't know, it always populates on my thing, but I am happy to make introductions for those.
When would you be going?
To be scheduled. We're going to send out an intro email, and you want to be included on that, AC?
Yeah, I'll be a tentative attendant.
Perfect.
It really depends on schedule.
Sounds good.
I'd like to stay in touch with the program. I
Yep.
don't know if I'll be able to join, but it would be nice to get copied, and if I can provide any help, I'd be happy to do that.
Awesome. So you will be on the email, so it's Greg, me, and sorry, did you say you want to be on?
Probably want to go, yeah.
All right, sounds good, Brian.
Seems like we should just do it. then.
Well, I was going to say, if
We just do that.
that's what I was going to say. I
Just
think
call Liz
it's to
and-
this point that maybe it makes more sense. If you're not going to be able to make it to next month's meeting, maybe that's something that we could schedule for the May meeting. Just have her here. You know, I could, if you want to send me the the application, she can be looking through that and sort of saying, oh, we have this data, they say we don't have this will be hard to get, and kind of get her a time to preview it.
Yep.
And then maybe make that the May meeting kind of as a featured speaker.
Yep.
And can kind of go through it a little bit more. Are you looking for the Sustainability Council meeting? No, it's an open meeting. Come on in.
I don't know what the subject is, I'm looking for, but just not disturbing.
Come on
Yeah, come on in. For the Sustainability Council, so please feel free to join us.
Yes. And I think it might be good to do a round of introductions. since
I think
we've got
that's a
some
great
new people
idea.
here. But just to close this out first, so the application is due June 25th, right?
Okay.
Great question. I don't have the top of my head.
I think
but
it's
it
due
be-
like around that. So
around
to
that
have
time.
a starting meeting in May might be a
might be
little late. So
Mhm.
maybe if you could do an intro email and then we can take it off from there. And just because there's a lot of people that want to be on the email and informed, and there might not be that many people at the original meeting, we can
Okay.
start from there. and
We'll try and
suss it
start
out.
from there.
Okay. And maybe the May meeting, we could do like a midpoint of the application and see where it is. All right, are we good on that item for now?
So yeah, June 25th, you're right.
I typically don't remember dates. Okay, so we have our follow-ups for that. So do the people on the computer want to do an intro first? Anna Christina, want to start?
Sure, I'm Anna Christina Perdoso. I'm in Pawtucketville. And I'm a geotechnical engineer and a member of the Sustainability Council.
And you've been on the council for how long now?
I think almost 3 years, I think. I'm coming up on 3 years.
Cool, all right, Cormac, how about you?
Hi everybody. Sorry the background noise. We just had we just welcomed another baby to the family, so things are a little bit busy around here. But my background is in engineering. I run a startup engineering company here working on ropeless fishing gear. I've been on the council for however long Michaela's been on the council. Something probably over 5 years. Yeah, interested in EVs and pedestrian mobility and all of the above for getting towards a more sustainable goal. Thanks.
Cool. And then should we go around the table, Catherine, Jay, that way, and then we'll move back?
So I am Catherine Moses. I'm the Sustainability Director for the city. I have been with the city of Lowell. It'll be 10 years in October. And I have a master's degree in energy engineering with a concentration in solar. Look to implement all of the above solutions to help Lowell get to the climate goals for the Commonwealth.
My name is Jay Mason. I'm the former chair of the Sustainability Council. Thank you. And I live in the Acre and have been very involved in the workings of our council, and I'm now retired from the council, and I'm excited to see how things move forward in the future and happy to participate whenever I can.
All right, I'm Greg Studwell. I was a member of the council for 4 years. My background is in geography, geographic information systems, and urban planning. And when I was on the council, I worked on the bike mobility program.
Hi, my name is Gloria Donko. So I'm a doctoral student at UMass Lowell, and my research interests are in sanitation and sustainability. And then I also got a grant to start a textile waste project diversion on UMass Lowell campus. So I was interested to come see what the council was about, and then maybe if we could discuss further means of collaboration as well. So thank you.
Could you repeat your name, please?
Gloria.
Gloria?
Yes, Gloria Donko.
I'm sorry?
Gloria Donko.
Thank you.
Brian Molinari, in the tree business, certified arborist, and just interested in getting involved in the city of Lowell.
Arborists, we need arborists.
I know you guys
That's so awesome. I'll leave this one over there. But hi, I'm Michaela Hondras McCarthy. I'm Cormac's sister, and I've been on the council for I think like 5 years. This is my first meeting taking over as chair for Jay. I will not live up to Jay's chairmanship, I'm sure, but I'll try my best. So I live in the Highlands. I grew up in Lowell, and I am an accountant by trade, but I work for a nonprofit called Green Energy Consumers Alliance, where I do the finances and the renewable energy procurement. And I love Lowell, and I love sustainability and all the stuff that comes along with that. So, yeah, that's me.
I'm Kevin Soleil. I will be a member as soon as I am confirmed. I currently work for UMass Lowell as the outdoor for Campus Rec with outdoor and bicycle programs. So I run their bike shop and have a part in kayak center and the Merrimack River. So I'm interested. I'm a Pawtucketville resident, and I want this place to be much more bike and pedestrian friendly, and I wouldn't mind it to be boater friendly too, like all the human powered modes of transportation. I'm very interested. And then potentially some urban forestry as well. So there's where I come in.
I'm Cynthia Hagan. I'm the new sustainability coordinator for the city of Lowell. I have a PhD in media psychology and a master's in learning design and technology. And so my specialty is communications. And I think the plan for me is to help get more community engagement, get sustainability issues more out into the community, increase public understanding, and support all the grant writing and anything that the sustainability team needs. Thank you.
I'm Walter Hurley. I'm from River Place Apartments. I love the city. I picked the city. My kids live here. My oldest daughter is 20. She's at the Brush Studio. She's got a little art gallery there, and she says she works 6 jobs. She's over at Mill Number 5, a couple of jobs there I know of. I think she's hiding one from me. She doesn't give me a dime. But anyways, I'm interested in the city of Lowell. I love it. I live here, and I try to protect my neighborhoods. I will be running for Council 4, Ward 3, I think. Either that or I'm going to be just helping out. But thank you very much. I'm interested in talking to the arborist and the bike guy because I'm good friends of Larry Bird. It's kind of a secret message. Thank you very much. God bless.
Where's the state for?
Ward 4, the middle of the river.
Yeah.
I got all the fish
Yeah.
in my wood. Then we come down around UMass.
Yeah.
That's the Martin Luther King Way.
Yeah.
And then we cut across. I'm in downtown Lowell. I think we go as far as just the other side of the shelter. We might, Jackson Street might cover us.
Cool.
We come down. I have to find out exactly. I've been campaigning for a long time, for a couple of years now.
Okay.
I want to just get a lot of people to vote. I don't care who they vote for. There's a lot of unrepresented people that don't vote. The largest population is the different cultures. It's the Spanish one up here.
Yeah.
But they're different cultures. They
Okay.
speak Spanish, but they might not be united. But I'm going to work on getting them registered. I worked for the Red-Headed Kennedy for a while. I got them signatures to get on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
I was very instrumental on having Ed Markey sign his papers, although they didn't believe me at the time that he would sign it because I grew up in his neighborhood. He belonged to a club I belonged to.
Cool. Well, good luck.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
I got a big mouth. I think that's an advantage. You know, it's just,
We'll have to
it's an
talk.
Irish thing.
Yes. We'll have to talk more. Awesome. Okay, great. Well, thanks everyone for introducing yourself, and it's nice to see some new faces here. So, yeah, we'll get going. We usually meet until 8. So we have just over an hour left. So the LSC City website and communications, Cynthia, maybe you can weigh in on this. One way we do advocacy, like spread the word about certain things, is our Sustainability Council Facebook page. And I think Sophie Mortimer was the person who did the admin on that. So we might need to try to hack into her email to get those rights back again. So, is that something?
So Facebook is very protective of those accounts if it's under a certain person's name. We can try. I can send some emails and see what we can do. But in most cases, it's very difficult, and you'd probably have to start over. Is there any way to get in contact with? Is it so?
She used to work for the city.
Does she?
So it's her city address.
She didn't really leave any forwarding information or contact information beyond her time at the city. But what we could do is we could put in an MIS help desk ticket to try and see if they can either, gather that data and then relocate it with somebody from the sustainability division as the admin. We can take that as a follow-up to this meeting.
Yeah, you could add me as the admin, and I have a document with all the saved passwords and stuff, so if anything happens, if I get hit by a bus, someone will add it. All right, and then there's the matter of the city website having 2 city websites for Sustainability Council, and getting that fixed.
I'm sorry?
Okay, so remind me what this issue is again.
There's 2, if you Google Lowell Sustainability Council, it'll bring up 2 separate links that go to the city website, and one is super outdated. I think it has Chris Hayes as a contact. So there's 2 iterations of the Lowell Sustainability Council on the city website. So I think it's just a matter of filling one.
So I think one could probably be archived or something like that. So, but it actually takes you to the link with Chris Hayes.
Yeah, you Google it, and you'll Google Lowell Sustainability Council, and there's 2 separate websites.
We'll add that to MIS's list as well.
All right, awesome.
I think if it's archived, they'll keep it. Because they can't get rid of the information because it's public information. So we'll see if they can hide it better.
Or combine it.
Or maybe take are there tags that can kind of ping it on Google, and if you remove the tags in addition to archiving, would that do it?
It just depends on what tags is bringing it up. So if it's the word sustainability, for example, then you'd have to take the word sustainability out, and then it would be difficult to bring, the other one up. So we'll see, but they may not be able to delete it. That might be why it still exists. They might not be permitted by law.
So I'll follow up with you. Would you be the follow-up person for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, that's something I think we want to try to get fixed because people are getting confused. And it's important for us to do outward-facing advocacy work, so if people can't find us, it's not easy for us to do that. All right. The next thing is the status of the community choice aggregation contract, which I know, Catherine, you've been working on.
Yeah, so as an update to that, we had, I think it was not this past Tuesday in City Council, but the prior Tuesday, I'd made a recommendation that the market seemed to be in a pretty good place to get some stability in the pricing. I recommended that we stay at the 45% as the default, but have options once we're allowed by either the DPU or by some legislation that's moving through to offer up to 100% for those that want to go further in their climate goals, and then offer an option that's above the required renewable percentages at 5% for those that may be struggling financially that are not eligible for any kinds of assistance programs. As soon as we get the permission to do that, we have those products kind of locked in. They actually had executable pricing that I believe was coming in and was signed off on today. I don't have that in front of me, but we'll be reporting out on it in City Council soon. But it does provide rate stability. Came in a little higher than indicative pricing, but not far. So
Congrats. Is there anything about that contract you could share with us, like the term length?
the term length was for 3 years because that seems to provide the best stability for pricing. And I forget who the winning bidder was, but like I said, I think it was only compared to where our aggregation is now. I think it was only a 4% increase, whereas some towns around us have seen up to 50% increases in their aggregation rates. So I think it'll provide us the stability we need. And, as we get the approvals from DPU and from the legislature, I think we can really do an educational campaign, if that's something the Sustainability Council wants to do, to make people aware of the different options that they have and to really try and get more people to opt up to 100% if it's within kind of their heart and their budget and all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask a question if I could.
Mhm.
The 4% increase, do we know how that stacks up against National Grid's regular rate?
I don't have that information. I can look at that information. I know that I think if we were looking at their winter pricing, estimated winter pricing, it is lower than that. Usually in the summertime, National Grid has lower rates than the aggregation, but I think on balance, we give that stability for our residents while allowing a lot more green than National Grid has as their default.
So could I say it looks to compare favorably with their National Grid rate?
I can give you a more definitive answer in the next meeting, but from my understanding, though, it does compare favorably because it's very close to where we are now with the rate, and that compares favorably.
Is it 14 cents a kilowatt hour for supply or more than that?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's in the 14s.
All right.
I think, don't quote me on that, though. I'm pretty sure it's in the 14s. I think it's in the high 14s, but I don't remember. I just know it came in today, and it was just a very slight increase.
Awesome. Does everybody know about our aggregation program in Lowell? So it's when the city negotiates for its electricity supply. So not like getting the electricity to you through the wires, but like the actual electricity supply itself. And basic service rate changes every 6 months, but aggregations keep a fixed rate for the duration of the contract. And then Lowell's is really special because we've opted to add, as a city, an additional 45% renewable content to our mix. So we pay a little bit extra for that, but the rate of the aggregation is typically lower than basic service rate on average, so we get more green energy while getting really good deal.
What about that hydroelectric power dam that's the Merrimack?
Oh, the one on the Merrimack?
Yeah, does that still function, or what's that? What did that do?
That's owned by an Italian company, isn't it? I think.
No.
No. Oh, they sold it?
Yeah.
Who owns it
So
now?
we get electricity from somewhere, like come in from somewhere else, and then we
Well,
get it from the
It's all part of a regional transmission system, and so at any given time, depending on what the load characteristics are and where people need power from, ISO New England manages a lot of that. And so there's no way to directly say, hydro company, we want you to fuel Lowell, because it's a regional system.
yeah,
It goes into a big soup,
and then comes back out.
and then the
somewhere.
soup just, yeah, depending on who's.
And they have all these crazy monitors and computers. I have seen the ISO New England kind of war room.
It tells you. I can share.
Yeah.
But yeah, so our role as a sustainability council and other people in Lowell that are interested in it could be to spread the word about the different options that might be coming available to go for more green energy or opt down, so opting up or opting down. Catherine, do you know, like, timing wise? We have no idea.
It's well, we know that the new pricing will start in the December with the December bills, and it'll go for 36 months. We don't have a good idea of when the DPU will rule on our petition. We've been in there for 4 years to do what 80% of the rest of the Commonwealth does in terms of offering multiple products. We anticipate that that will start to move a little bit because I know they have been getting more orders out, but we don't have an exact timing on that. On the same time, there is legislation moving through. Again, we don't know when or if that will happen, but we remain optimistic on both fronts.
So I know I'm a little new to this. So when you say green energy, like it's coming from, it's still electricity, right? Being
Oh, it's, so the way green energy works is, like, everything, all the electrons go into the soup, but wind turbines and hydro
instead
and
of oil, you
solar.
mean?
No, oil goes into the soup too, unfortunately, but
But what
renewable.
Lowell's trying to buy is not oil based. It's so is it like coming from hydroelectricity predominantly, or wind, or?
So because it all goes in the same soup, the renewable stuff gets a certificate. So it's the right to say my stuff is renewable.
Yeah.
So Lowell purchases those certificates, and so it's for every megawatt hour of energy produced, one certificate is produced. So the way to support renewable energy is to purchase those certificates and create demand for them. And that's what Lowell's doing.
And it should be mentioned that Lowell at 45% plus what the state requires, which I think is now up to 18%.
22.
I'm sorry?
22.
22. So that's 67%
Yep.
clean energy. And that is, that's only one other community in the entire state has that level of green energy.
So in the soup, is it hydro,
Yep.
solar,
Yep.
and wind? Do you know what percentage each one of those three are, or is it just all goes in?
So we can get that information.
Yeah, we don't dictate to the suppliers that bid in there exactly which resource that they have to pull from to get the RECs. We just tell them that we want this percentage of this type of REC. And so we have 45% more mass class 1 RECs, which are usually RECs that come from newer facilities to create, like Michaela was talking about, this hope to create a demand for adding additional renewable energy into the ISO New England grid and into the Massachusetts grid, so that as we move towards our decarbonization goals in the Commonwealth, that you have a revenue stream, a way to kind of make those sorts of generators, make it something that can be advantageous for them economically while being advantageous for our emissions as a region and as a state and as a city. Did I explain that well, Michaela?
Yeah. And if anyone
This is what Michaela does every day.
It does seem a little odd though, like thinking about from like a little bit of a skeptical point of view too. Of like, so if we buy all the good stuff, they're just going to sell the bad stuff somewhere else. But I think what we're asked, and that's really an oversimplification of it, right?
Well, that's
we're
assuming,
creating demand for more good stuff. Is the so I can literally geek out about this for hours. So if we want to have like a side discussion about energy markets and RECs, I'm very happy to.
So
do
there
that.
may be a little bit of both happening at the same time, but we can't not create that demand. Creating that demand is what we should be doing.
Yes,
You can't change the overall composition of the grid without incentives like this.
And it's all on a voluntary basis, right, too. So like by doing this, we're supporting the market for these renewable energy certificates, and we're sending a message in general that like this is what cities and towns want, and this is what we're willing to support and pay a little extra for.
We can't, I work in, for an environmental engineering company. We do a lot of solar work, a lot of renewable work. We can't keep up with the amount of solar being built. I mean, I'm working on a project now that's the largest solar project we've ever worked on, 7,700 acres of solar.
Holy moly. How many,
Enormous.
what's the capacity?
Actually, I don't know the capacity, but I'm thinking it's at least 500 megawatts. Wow. In central New York.
Jesus Christ.
Central New York is like booming with solar.
That's great.
And northern New York. Of course, because we have a lot of like fallow agricultural land and so on. It's, you know, they have a lot of open land that we don't have in Illinois.
How much land area did you say?
7,700 acres. But it's not all going to be developed for solar, maybe 4,000 acres.
Awesome.
But still, 4,000 acres of panels is a lot. Our previous biggest project was 4,000 acres total and 2,500 acres of panels.
That is a lot. Wow. But
No,
yeah,
actually, to Greg's point,
what's that?
oh no. I said, to Greg's point, I'm also working, I think I have 5 different solar projects going on right now, mostly in Maine. So it looks like land is really gonna be the want to get your energy solar.
Cool.
Click off that like widgets thing.
Oh, jeez. So, yeah, if anyone wants to talk more about aggregation, I love talking about it, and the more we all know about it, the more we can all like tell people.
I had a question.
Sorry.
I hope I'm not interrupting, especially being a brand new infant newbie. Is it a bad word, nuclear?
No.
Is it renewable?
No.
It's not green.
Greener than
If
sun.
it's responsible, it could be green, right?
Well, I think with nuclear, the big debate on the table is that, yes, it's the most efficient, but it's also the most dangerous.
What about
So-
UMass's nuclear power plant?
It's always gonna be people supporting one or the other.
What about UMass? They supply 80% of their power, I believe, I could be wrong, from the nuclear power plant they have there.
Yeah, it's just a boutique.
That's a demonstration, yeah. So
Was anybody ever really investigated it, find out what's going on? Because I understand they supply 80% of their power by it. And on the off-peak hour, they have to put back. Why don't they put back into the city instead of into the grid?
You should send us that information. And we can
I don't have it. I have to talk to UMass to find it.
Well,
I would love a tour.
if you do, we can include it as an agenda item on our next meeting.
I'll talk to UMass. I don't have any pull. I'm
Out there, you do that.
I'm alma mater, but I'm alma mater to a lot of schools that don't
All
mean
right.
nothing.
Cool. Well, we will include that in a future meeting as an agenda item if we want to talk more about it.
We had one at my first college at Lincoln College School of Engineering at Northeastern campus on Huntington Ave, but it was nothing compared to that. That's just the water tower.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got a tight timeline, so that will be up for next meeting if you can get us that information. So this is a big. Does anyone want to talk more about community choice aggregation before we move on? Okay. The Lowell Forward Plan review and integration with our current goals. Does everyone know what the Lowell Forward Plan is? It's a really over 200-page document. It's Lowell Forward by 2040, I think, is the time horizon on the plan. I encourage people to read it, and I can send it out on a link if. Do we have everybody here's email? Do we have a sign-in sheet? We don't
Good
have.
idea.
We don't have a
Really
sign-in
quick.
sheet. I did forget that. Awesome. If you have, can you, Brian? I don't know if I have your email, but oh, thanks, Kevin. I have yours.
I was gonna
You
say,
can-
sign in sheet, either way. We have lots of pieces of paper.
Sorry, I know. But I can forward you the link if you want, and I can get your emails. But it has a lot of really great goals, and it's hinges quite a bit on sustainability efforts, Catherine, as you know. So maybe, I don't know if you want to share some things in particular that you think as a sustainability council we can help you out on.
I wasn't prepared for this question, but but I know it is a very comprehensive document, and it was based a lot on a lot of public feedback. I know that there was a focus group. I believe Cormac was on the focus group for the Sustainability Council. I know there were multiple public meetings. There were multiple opportunities for people to weigh in. They also did extensive outreach to different kinds of community leaders, different staffing. And so kind of what came back in sustainability were goals in different areas with different priorities. I don't remember what all of the goals are, but I think a lot of them were related to really making sure that we're moving towards the emissions reductions goals of the Commonwealth from the climate bills, you know, to try to get to net zero by 2050. So there are savings, or there are kind of targets in the interim. And I think it's comparing it to a 1990 baseline to try to get to this point by 2030, this point 35, 40, et cetera. And so how is that going to change Lowell? How do we need to be thinking about things now? And I think a lot of those kinds of things, like I think some of the things are just making sure that, you know, our permitting processes are aligned with the kind of the priorities of the Commonwealth, making sure that, you know, we are engaging those that are, you know, kind of that could potentially end up with greater energy burdens. So trying to make sure that we proactively help those that are most vulnerable to the energy transition. You know, really, I know there are also things related to public transportation, which of course involves the LRTA. And I know that there's a lot of opportunity for growth in that area. But I don't have the exact things in front of me.
Okay.
I'm happy to print those out for the sustainability section for subsequent meetings, and happy to talk about kind of how we're thinking about addressing those things from a city standpoint. And maybe from that, we could look at how the sustainability, what kind of role that you can play in helping us to advocate for these kinds of things, or taking practical steps to move the needle. So.
Cool. There's lots of stuff about bike mobility in there. There's lots of stuff about energy efficiency in there and housing. So it's a really great document, and it's pretty aspirational and inspirational, I would say. So there's lots of really good ideas in there that maybe we can integrate into our goals as a sustainability council and continue to work on.
Finished plan this time?
I believe that they finished taking comments on it, and we'll be looking to finalize it. And I think from my understanding is the thing that's a little bit different about this master plan versus prior master plans is I think prior master plans were more aspirational, and this has more of kind of smartized sort of metrics for short term, medium term, longer term. And the idea is that this would be more of a living document. You know, how are we doing in trying to meet the goals that are a part of this plan? Do we need to change things based on, you know, conditions in the Commonwealth, legislation, you know, different opportunities for funding, different opportunities within our community, different technologies that may not even exist now, but might exist in the future. And I think the idea of having these very specific kind of goals and to have a way to check in on these goals, I think is something that's going to be a little bit different from prior master plans. So I'm excited about it.
It is really cool. It is really cool. So, great. Okay. Upcoming events. The first one and the only one is the exciting National Grid Customer Savings event on April Fool's Day, but it's real. Catherine, do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, it's definitely real. We had done one of these last winter. The primary purpose of these kinds of events is to help people out and connect them with resources to make their energy more affordable. So National Grid will have multiple people on site to help look at people's accounts, to screen them for things like the discount rate, and help them to get involved in our aggregation plan as well. Our energy advocate, Victor Vargas, will be there to provide extra support. There will be different community organizations that have different support systems that'll be a part of there. People will be able to talk directly with people who can directly provide them with solutions for their energy needs. And so I can't remember exactly how many people attended last year, but it was pretty well attended. I think there were, I want to say 130, but I might be confusing it with something else. But it was a really great event. And, we really appreciate the fact that National Grid is looking after our communities in this way. I know there was some upsetness that Lowell wasn't considered for their rate case hearings and things like that. But I know that they really are trying to help Lowellians and those in the general area to really find the solutions they need for their energy challenges in these economically challenging times. So it will have all of those and more. And like I said, our energy advocate, Victor Vargas, will be there. So even if you just want to stop and say hi with Victor, he would be so excited about that because he loves seeing people and helping people.
Awesome. Is there like a link that we can share or anything online that we can direct people to if they're interested?
I can send out, they actually sent us flyers in our major languages. I can send that for distribution, but I know they've also been doing text messages to customers and emails, but I'll send the flyers to the group for distribution.
Cool. Is there food?
Yes.
Okay, that's an easy sell, people. The Maury's in the Highlands. It is on Pine
It's
Street.
130 Pine Street.
It's a school. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an elementary school.
Do you know where Couple Square is? Do you know where it's another landmark? Huh? Mine is horrible. What part of Lowell do you live in? The Acre. Okay, it's kind of close to the Acre. That gives you no detail, but it's kind of close to the Acre. Cool.
Is the Maury School on Liberty as you come down from Pine Street?
I think it's Pine and Stevens.
Yeah,
No,
It's right at the,
Wilder.
it's right at the
Wilder.
end of Liberty, where that little triangle is, it's right there on the left.
yes.
Yeah, so it's at the corner of Pine Street and Wilder.
Yeah.
And
Wilder goes right
Oh,
on the
Walker's
side.
close.
yeah,
You're like-
I was also going to.
Yeah.
And I can also, in addition to sending out a copy of the flyers, I can also send kind of a link to Google Maps for the address, if that makes it easier.
Nice. It's always good to have good directions. Cool. Any more questions about that awesome event? Or does anyone else have any exciting upcoming events that they want to talk about? All right. This is more of like a housekeeping thing. Catherine, have you heard anything about the budget request that I think we submitted for this year for $200? And then there was a expense reimbursement request that Jay, I think, had submitted for the summit last year.
Yeah, so we're still in the midst of budget season. I think they're going to start having hearings this month to try and go through in more detail. Well, this month being April, not March, but
It's not April, yeah.
I know.
Scary.
But so that's kind of a wait and see, and it depends on what else is in the budget. But I haven't heard any updates from the reimbursement for last year. I have been trying to kind of track that down, but the access that I have to be able to track that down, I guess, doesn't let me see into that level of detail. But we will be trying to get some updates on that probably within the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
I've asked our department head. He doesn't have any information for me, but we'll see if we can track that down.
Okay. Is that
So-
Paul St. Pierre, the department? Okay. I will try to follow up by 1 week from today.
Okay.
Because sometimes if people don't follow up with me, I forget. So
That's fair.
I will remember. Okay. What's that? Oh, I'm
And-
sorry, AC.
No, no, it's not important. I was just gonna ask, the Lowell forward plan, how often is it, put in? I mean, I'm assuming it's dynamic and it changes, like, do you give yourselves 5 years and then they produce a new one, or how often is it done?
I believe
Not
they're,
important.
I think they're 15-year plans.
So this replaces, remember the Sustainable Lowell 2025?
2025, yeah.
That
Okay.
replaces it. And one weakness of Sustainable Lowell 2025 is we never really measured our progress against the initial goals. So I think they're trying to do that this time. So,
Okay, that's it, sorry. Did I lower my hand? Yes, I did, okay.
no, that's a good, thanks for asking, AC. All right, so the goals for 2024, I can distribute. We've sort of reached a consensus after a good long process led by Jay. But since we've got some new faces, I can definitely circulate that to.
And I think it's also included in the packet that people got today.
So sorry.
I believe it, or it was intended to be in there. I might have not gotten it in there. I printed it out. I apologize. So it probably would be a good idea to circulate it because I don't think it made it in there. My bad. I think it's probably still on the printer and the DVD.
Yeah.
So my apologies.
So this is a somewhat dynamic document. It's important as a council to establish some loose consensus on what we're all here for and what we all care about, and add as we go as things change. So does anyone else want to discuss anything for goals?
I would just suggest, if it's possible, we've got a sign-in sheet with email addresses, share the document with the folks who have come to the meeting.
Absolutely.
Then everybody can weigh in and see what's in the document and add to it if you'd like, or make comment.
Yep, so I'll share the goals, I'll share a link to the Lowell Forward Plan, and then anything else we talk about. I'll send you a link to like a one-pager on aggregation, which is awesome.
I did already send the questions from the bike-friendly
Oh, cool.
community, so you have them, and you have them if you want to
I
include
have-
that as an attachment.
Yep,
Attach away.
all right. So if anyone wants to take a peek at the bike-friendly community application, I will send that out to everyone too.
Do we have any power produced in Lowell?
Yeah, solar panels. And
What about the water? I mean, there's an old,
Yeah,
they don't use it, but they have the water rights.
yeah,
Why-
totally.
We
Well-
have electricity, so they make it at the head of the.
Yeah, so it's always been our understanding that the water rights and the electricity that's produced there, that's a private company, and they own the water rights to the canal, so we can't really do much with the canal as a city. But, I mean, it is produced with local resources, but it's one of those things that it's within the larger ISO New England grid, so.
We do, someone does produce power right after University Bridge, right?
Well, there is a plant there. I don't know if it's currently active.
Looks
and
like they're there all the time.
well, if that, I know that there have been several different changes in ownership there. So,
But does that help
Yeah.
us at all? I'm wondering.
It helps
if
the company
local-
that owns it. That's who it.
we don't get to count any
But
of
if
that
we
green.
cut, it goes to the grid.
Yeah.
So, I mean, does it help us at all? It's produced in our city if more electricity, because we got a lot of small
For
power
carbon accounting, it doesn't really help with our carbon accounting.
It's just not large enough.
We don't have the environmental attributes that are attributed to that. So the RECs that we were talking about with the community choice aggregation, it generates those as well, but it doesn't have a direct link to Lowell and how we kind of look at our RECs.
Okay, I'm new. I don't know. Thank you.
It's very complex. I
And
don't
it's-
fully
it
understand.
seems counterintuitive. It's like I think of it as like if we bottled the sauce here and then shipped it somewhere and it was consumed somewhere else.
Oh, that's a good way
It's
to.
kind of a similar thing. Like, yes, it's being made here,
Yes.
Yeah.
but it's not being consumed here. But it might be a little bit.
Depends on the hour of the day.
Shipped
But
off to get
They use
distributed
the points to
somewhere else.
offset the carbon pollution is what they do.
Well, they have the environmental attributes, and that's something that, consumers can purchase to offset things.
So we could contract directly as a city with the company that owns that power plant, and we would have to pay them for the renewable attributes.
So they've got to be green.
They sure are. They're
You know,
totally-
that small plant, I don't know who they're hooked up
Yeah,
with.
no, totally green. I can try to find out who owns it.
Central Rivers County.
Central. Oh, really?
We're talking about Blue Hydro.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 20 megawatts. Blue Hydro Power is a subsidiary of Central Rivers County.
Interesting. And that's not the one that's owned by Avon Grid. That's Central Maine Power.
Right.
Right. Okay. I get those confused.
We have another hydropower.
There's that big red old one, I don't know if they're using it.
We're talking about the one at the top.
That-
of Dr. Street, at the
The bridge.
bridge.
The bridge.
high bridge,
Yeah. Yeah.
Great, what's the name of the company? Central Rivers. We do have a little company on the other river too, on,
Concord.
thank you.
I didn't know that.
But I think that's just a small family that owns that.
Really?
A lot of them are small
In the
families.
70s or something?
They have water rights. They don't actually own it. But they have the right to get power from,
But they're not on the hook to clean the shopping carts out of the canals or anything?
it's a long history that helps.
Yeah.
Because I used to be on the canal waters, like cleaners, and we used to be able to just go in there and do it, but not after NL bought it, and NL sold it to Central Rivers.
To look them up. All right. So that was not an item, but that was a good discussion. All right. So follow up on grant updates. And Jay, I know you wanted to talk about an E4L opportunity thing.
I thought that I don't have the write-up on that, but yeah, I think that's something that the council might be interested in staying in touch with, because it's not just about electrification, it's about weatherization,
Yeah.
which is kind of the key to make electrification feasible. And so if you care about electrification, then you're going to want to insulate these really leaky buildings that we have. And
After
E4L
all,
is
it's
about
equitable energy efficiency and electrification for Lowell.
that. Exactly.
Yes.
Oh, is that what the four
That's
E's?
E and
Or-
for
Oh,
L.
I'm ashamed I didn't know that.
It's what we're committed to.
Yes.
We're committed to making sure you have equitable energy transitions, energy efficiency first as a pathway to electrification. It's good stuff.
That's great.
So if we have our goals list, I think that is on the list.
It is.
So that could be something if somebody wants to champion moving that forward.
I know they have monthly meetings, and it's kind of a loose collection. I know members of the Sustainability Council have been on it, members from the city are on it, 350 Mass is on it, Coalition for a Better Acre, Cambodian Mutual Assistance Association, Building Electrification Accelerator. Who else am I missing, Jay? I think,
Heat, maybe?
has Heat shown up there? But they should. We should invite them. Yeah, I
You know
mean,
when their monthly meetings are?
it varies from month to
I can
month,
forward you that information.
but
Okay, you probably have. But
it's an interesting group.
so,
Oh, and LTC is usually there too,
oh, cool.
because they are implementing a grant with LTC. LTC is kind of the fiscal agent of it, and it's to create these kind of small kind of commercials or things that can be shared on social media to help educate people about the importance and value of weatherization, and I believe that LTC is leading that effort.
Awesome. Is it okay with everyone if I circulate a little bit about E4L to this email list? Um, so energy efficiency is the,
Equitable energy efficiency and electrification for Lowell.
yes.
E for L.
The electrification part. So
Right.
what does that entail exactly? So like, you get the energy efficiency.
Right.
So and then
And so the direction that the Commonwealth is going is to electrify everything. First, it usually starts, well, different people can have different on ramps, but when you're talking about homes and residents and things like that, a lot of times you're talking about making your heating sources, electrical heating sources. So things like
transitioning from gas.
to heat pumps and and things like that. There's also electrification of vehicles as a part of it. Solar where that's feasible, that's something that's a part of it. So all of those things to help reduce our emissions and get us to where we need to go. But I think energy efficiency is, I think, a really important on-ramp to making that transition. So.
You wouldn't want to electrify it, but way overpower it because you're making out of the efficiency.
Yes.
Right, exactly. And when you're making that kind of jump, especially if you're talking about municipal buildings and schools and things like that, the electrical upgrade costs can be pretty significant if you haven't done the deep energy retrofits first.
Now I'm on board. We're with it.
The sequence of events is important. So that feeds in to Catherine, all your grants that you're working on.
Yeah, so I provided in the packet, you'll have a grant update. A lot of them are similar to what we saw last month. We just had a closeout of our Green Communities grant in February, so we should be eligible for the next round, which just opened up this week. I can't remember the deadline of that, so that's that piece of it. We're also looking to apply for another municipal vulnerability preparedness grant. That's something that our planners are taking on to create kind of this, well, the name of it is, they're calling it a sponge park, but it's kind of this park that they're looking to transform and have different kinds of things, different green infrastructure elements that are a part of it to not only help add green infrastructure to our city, but to also make it a showcase of what that really means and what becomes possible as a part of that. So I know DPD is working on that grant. We still have the grants that support our energy advocate. We're still moving those forward. Community Development Block Grant, we're looking to do weatherization at City Hall and a couple of our schools. That's going to be the next big one after some of the other ones
And the library.
Yes. So the library is a separate pot of money. The library and several of our fire stations we're doing through the Community Development Block Grant. That's ready to move to bids. We just got our executed grant for GAP 3 to do energy efficient transformers at wastewater. We have our $4.2 million indoor ventilation and air quality grant to help do chillers at 5 of our schools. We're putting together bid specs for that. We were selected as one of 3 communities for EPA's Climate Resilient Schools, which is a technical assistance grant to help us to think about how do we make our schools climate resilient and what active steps can we take as a part of that. They are hiring a consultant to be working with us right now, and so we anticipate that that will probably kick off in April. There's the Kickstart grant, which we are supporting the Lowell Housing Authority on. I think most people here know that Lowell was selected as the first National Grid community to participate in the Network Geothermal Demonstration Project. So the Kickstart grant is to help communities kind of gear up for those sort of activities, looking at high-level feasibility. The Lowell Housing Authority is looking to develop some new properties kind of in the Upper Merrimack Street area, I believe. And, what would that look to design those to be connected with a network geothermal system, and how can we look to expand network geothermal on the acre. The hope being that through this feasibility study, you can get a high level, yes, this is a good area to do this. No, it's not a good area to do this. If it's yes, then you can move on and look to put that into federal grants.
Are there other big, you need that big parking lot kind of place to drill the holes? Are there other big?
Right. So that's part of what the feasibility study will tell us as well. Are there properties that you can have essentially that bore field to have to encompass the load that you're looking to encompass, and how do you diversify your load profiles so it really can give the kind of reliability that we're looking to have in there. So those kind of high level questions of where would a bore field best be situated? Where would you be able to, what sizing would you need? Are there any kinds of things geologically that would keep us from moving forward there? Are there different kinds of permitting that would be needed and things like that? Just thinking about those things at a very high level. I know they had an initial kickoff meeting this past week, and so they're going to be looking, I forget how many communities were selected for that, but there were several communities, and Lowell is representing. Like I said, we let the Housing Authority take the lead on that one. They're also participating in the demonstration project, and so they're very excited, and we're here to support them. And I think that, if this is something that it shows that it's feasible and it could happen, I think you can then leverage that for Department of Energy grants and look at a broader area, which would also include potential municipal properties, potential UMass Lowell properties, and it could really lead to something amazing. But it starts with this $50,000 feasibility. So that one was a fairly new one. Still waiting to hear on an Urban Forest Challenge grant from DCR. We submitted that in November. Hopefully they'll let us know one way or the other soon. We also submitted a grant. There were some students from Andover, one of Andover's high schools, that approached us about direct technical assistance from the Building Resilient Infrastructure Program for FEMA. The hope with this is that, again, it's a technical assistance grant that FEMA would help us to craft a project that would then be competitive for their larger Building Resilient Infrastructure grant to help us increase our climate resilience. The grants I'm actively working on right now, the EECBG, so that's City Hall, 2 schools. That's my next grant up. The Climate Pollution Reduction Grant. This is the one that has really been taking a lot of the time lately. It's due on Monday. We're planning on uploading it tomorrow. Yeah, but the concept that we came up with, because you have to have a good acronym for all of these kinds of things. So my good acronym is RELIEF. That is reducing emissions in Lowell through infrastructure and efficiency first. Yeah. And the idea would be that we would, I know, right? would be that you, absolutely. So this particular grant, you get most of your points based on the emissions reductions that you can get by 2050. The greatest number of those points come with the emission reductions you can get by 2030. And so what we did is we've kind of looked across our portfolio for the different kinds of deep energy retrofits that we could do, things like lighting, things like weatherization, retro commissioning and control work, solar integration, and getting the infrastructure to support that. And when I ran all the numbers, the things that came up with the highest level of savings in the shortest time are to have LED lighting at all of our schools do the entire portfolio of schools and also putting on 3 new solar-ready roof structures, or I believe I called it solar enabling infrastructure. So if you have the new roof structures, then you'd be able to go behind with solar and the PPA work that we've been doing with Select. And those things, I forget what the numbers are. I want to say it's like in the 5,000 megatons of CO2 equivalent by 2030 and like 23,000 or so by 2050. But the idea about this relief kind of thing, those are the things that we're asking EPA to fund in order to jumpstart those kinds of things. But we're looking to leverage additional funds from some of these other grants and some of the capital requests that I've made to do weatherization across all of our schools, to get all of our schools to make sure their mechanical systems are retro commissioned, to integrate our urban forest master plan as part of our emissions reduction thing. And by doing all of these different things, that we would be on our path to net zero within our school systems. Our schools are our biggest overall energy users in this city. And so if we have this nice little jump start with EPA money, then we can braid these other kinds of grant programs in them. And that's the pitch we're hoping the EPA buys. So, question, Jay?
Just curious about, because the schools are the schools and the buildings are owned by the city.
Correct.
That makes it a little more complicated.
Well, it actually, for the purposes of this grant, it simplifies it a little bit because the buildings are owned by the city. You know, one of the sections in there says, do you have the authority to make changes? And since the city's the one applying for the grant, yes, we do have that authority to make those changes. And we've been making a lot of different changes in our school buildings over the last several years with our strategic partnership with National Grid, but we haven't been able to do it at a massive scale just because of the lack of funding. And so we think that with this EPA funding, that we can be fairly competitive because of the quick turnaround on our emissions reductions, but also because they have different tranches of funding. And so we're going at the under $10 million level. I think that we're asking for something like $9.7 million overall to be able to do this work.
This is the technical assistance grant for the CRSC?
No, this is the climate pollution reduction grant.
And then you're saying that
Just quickly, I don't think that I have access to the latest. Was there a March one that was sent out?
Yeah, so this was one that was sent out with the meeting minutes.
Yes.
Was it 2 weeks ago?
It was sent out on
This
the
was-
18th.
It was dated, but it says grants in February. Grant update February 2024.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we're kind of talking about the grants that we're actively working on right now. And so that's the one that we're hoping to upload tomorrow. I think because we're at the lowest rung, and we know other entities in the state are applying for other rungs, like up at the next rung. I know that the Housing Authority for Lowell, Boston, and Chelsea are applying for something there. The next rung, I know that the state is applying for something for medium and heavy duty vehicles. And then the top rung, I know there's a consortium with NEEP and New England states for increasing cold weather heat pumps. And so it's a bunch of different things, but you're only compared to those that are in sort of your level that you're going for. So I think the fact that we're going for the under $10 million level, that we do have these measures that with the scale we're looking to do them can get you emission savings faster, and just the other kinds of things. The fact that it's part of this broader kind of reach and broader idea, I think will probably, and all the other little things that we're working on to make sure we get all our points, I think we will be pretty competitive in it. But even if we don't get this particular grant, I think that we can use the same concept for other grants that we're looking at, like the Renew America Schools grant, which has also come out within the last week or so. I think when I sent out the grant update, it hadn't been released yet, but I think we can use the same idea and use this idea to fund additional portions of what we're looking to do for our deep energy retrofits, doing solar across our portfolio, and then using those as an on-ramp towards electrification.
So just a quick question, just how government works. So when you're filing a grant like that, who comes up with like the idea of what the money will be used for? Like how does that all work?
That was our team in the sustainability division. Like I said, it's usually with these grants, what you do is you try to think what's going to make you the most competitive and what grant source is the right fit for what projects that you want to do.
Another group of people that you're meeting with that makes those decisions?
Yeah, so we have actually.
In that room too, or?
What's that?
Are you in that room too, or?
Well, that's something that's a little trickier to have direct integration with.
People that get paid by the city.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, people that get paid by the city.
Cool ideas though, you know.
Yeah,
like,
no,
you
you're
know,
right.
having the rooftop solar makes a lot of sense. Like, what about like I see other schools that have parking lot solar. Like that seems like a lot of like that makes sense.
Yeah, I think, those things are all things that we have looked at. And I think, that was something that we did about a year and a half ago. I think we sent out a request for information to see where in our portfolio of buildings can you do a high level of assessment and see where we might be able to have solar developed. I think
the public schools are like the big
biggest
draw.
one.
Yeah.
Right. I think that the thing that we found with parking lots and canopies in general is the economics are not as favorable as rooftop.
But the cost has come down significantly.
Another challenge that you have in Lowell as well is the history of contamination. And so there are some places that we know that even if it does look like there could be potential there, like I know at one of our schools, for example, the history of contamination there will not allow you to go below a certain depth that you would need to go below in order to have the canopies there unless you did much more extensive intervention and having people on site.
That's scary to have a school on top of something like that.
It's okay as long as you don't, if you go.
They built a casino on it in Everett.
But, but you're going to encounter different things like that in Lowell. But I think the nice thing that we have is we do have a nice tranche of projects that we have gotten votes on before the city council to sort of see where we start our solar. I think in all there are about 4.6 or maybe it's 4.3 megawatts of solar that's been contracted for. So if we can get through all the interconnection processes, we can create these solar enabling infrastructure for those things. I think we have a significant opportunity to increase the solar that we have on our school facilities and a couple of our municipal parking garages as well.
I would just move that we have about 10 minutes left, and there's a few more things here.
Timekeeper Jay,
Thank you, Jay. Yeah,
All
so
right.
that's the grant update. And we also got a discourage on the grid resilient and innovation partnerships. So we're not going to pursue that one further, although we're going to recycle the idea of integrating storage to help get some of our solar projects out of group studies through a different grant program that I should be able to tell you about next month.
Awesome.
So,
Nice.
Good luck. Okay. We don't really have that much left. So we have subcommittee updates.
And I didn't know if you wanted to transition that to something different. We had talked about maybe reformatting that, so
Yes.
I want to give you time, make sure you had time.
Thanks. So I think the subcommittee stuff is ever changing based on what sort of things are going on. And to kind of align with the goals that we've identified on the document that I'll be sending out following this meeting. So especially for our newer members, and I'll actually open it up to our current members, AC and Cormac on the Zoom. If you have any updates or anyone else here on any of these subcommittee items. So recycling, communications, aggregation, we talked about, heat islands, EVs, bike mobility we talked about, and the high school.
Well, recycling, I know there was a meeting tentatively scheduled that was supposed to happen this past Tuesday, and it fell through, but I'm actually happy that fell through because I wouldn't have been able to make it. So what is the tentative next date? Do we know?
I don't have that. I will circulate a doodle poll to try and get a tentative next date and put the recycling director and the commissioner, the DPW commissioner, on there.
Yeah, Stephen was asking about that. I think he still wants to be involved. And
Yeah.
I told him that look at the last meeting, it was a new director, so they're letting him settle in.
Cool. Anyone else have any subcommittee updates?
One on the EV side of things. I was just wondering if Catherine, if your department knew anything about the Tesla supercharger that's kind of been hung up. I don't know if it's coming from a city side or a supply side of parts. If you guys know anything about that, because that's kind of like the
Is that the one that's
first.
over by the 99 and Cross
Yep,
Point in that
exactly.
area?
Yeah, because that's kind of like the first like major
Yep.
electric car charger or DC fast charger in the city.
Yeah, I just know it is owned by a private entity, so the city hasn't had any direct kind of contact with them. I'm sure that they've had to go through the city for permitting, but I don't really have any information on when or are they open already? I know I saw them being set up down there when I was over traveling in that area, but I don't know anything beyond that. I know they have not talked to me directly.
Gotcha. Yeah. I just didn't know if there was anything that was happening on the city side. So it sounds like it's on the private side.
Not at this.
And if there is anything that you think of that what the city is working on as far as EV mobility, it'd be good to
Yeah, so
collaborate. I didn't see anything specifically on the grants, but
that's correct. We're not specifically working on anything related to EVs right now. Just with the volume of grants that we have currently, I know that last year one of the grants that is part of the bipartisan infrastructure law we had explored it. Looking at was a community charging grant. That's another possibility. I haven't seen that one advertised yet. Of course, last year when it was advertised, that was right after we got hit with a cyber attack. So it was one of those things where you can't pull together the elements of your grant if you don't have access to your files. So that one is something that's kind of tentatively on the radar. I haven't seen anything on grants.gov for it at this point. And that's the only update I can provide right now.
Cormac, it might be possible, Catherine, you might know better than I, but it's possible that you could go to the building department to see if there's any permits for work down at the Cross Point site, or?
Yeah,
I mean, we could do, but it's if we're not gonna if there's nothing that we can do to accelerate it, then there's no point. And it's kind of just makes sense to just wait until it gets done.
CBA just installed a charger at their passive house on 555 Merrimack Street, which is really exciting. So a lot of the residents there have direct access to a charging station. And my colleague, we have a grant where I work for my colleague to work with community-based organizations to do lots of like EV education on all the rebates that are available for new and used vehicles. So if you know of any partnering organizations or even the city where she can come in and do a webinar for free, or so we can maybe
we could connect about that.
Yeah, it's kind of just, I mean, I was there and I witnessed it. Like, it's kind of just answering some like pretty simple questions for people, and then they believe that they can get an electric car. So it's it does work. I saw it work with my own eyes. So talk to people about it.
I have a quick question, actually. I mean, I charge my car at work for free, and I have a level 2 here at home. But what are these charging stations charging? Do you know?
Oh, like
Because
the
some of them are free and some of them are they charge money, like so many
I know this.
cents.
I can just speak on the city-owned chargers, and at this point, we haven't been charging for the electricity. We've just been charging the fee to park in that space. But I know that because of the financial status of our parking enterprise fund, that's something that they're looking to change to try and recover at least a portion of those costs and the networking fees and things like that. So that's something that's under development. But at this point, we don't charge for the electricity.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point of like, you know, maybe that's something that it would be good to get a little bit more information on. I mean, for instance, it doesn't make sense to not charge you know, people using the charging stations just because it's already a lot cheaper than gas and it's a, you know, a convenience thing, and the goal is to try to have more charging stations available. And so it's better to charge people and have and be able to afford to be able to put in more charging stations, hopefully. But overall, the DC fast chargers are on the order of 50% more expensive than if you were to charge at home. And charging at home is roughly, you know, half the price of gas. If that gives you a little bit of insight. And typically, electric car owners don't usually charge that much on the DC fast charges. It's just for in a pinch when you're traveling. But all right, I won't take any more of the time on the EV stuff.
No, that's good info. I think the CBA charger's free. Okay, we still have 2 minutes. Anything on Heat Island, Lowell High, anything more on bicycle or pedestrian mobility?
The only question that I have with bicycle and pedestrian mobility, I know it's, so we're getting out of the winter season, going into the rest of the year, the 3 months. And so making sure that the city has, like, they typically do a good job of cleaning the streets, filling potholes, all that kind of stuff. So just make sure it's on the agenda.
So, oh, yep.
I would just add, totally different subject if that's okay. Yeah, I would just add, do we have any update on the high school solar?
Yeah, so the high school solar has received the approval of the city council to enter into a 20-year contract for the solar there. Those contracts have been signed by all the appropriate parties. And so now I know that particular site is in what's called an impact study. And so it's 45 business days for National Grid to let you know if you need to do any additional upgrades in order to bring that solar online. We anticipate that will happen. I can't remember what the exact date is, but basically before the building is turned over to us. So the solar vendor and the OPM at the high school have already begun talks to coordinate about what it looks like to go in behind the building once it's built and turned over to the city so that you can get solar on there pretty shortly thereafter. So we're probably looking at this fall.
Awesome.
Would that be both the freshman academy and
Correct.
the new gymnasium?
Correct.
So that's a total of
I think
500 or 600?
I think it's 410, but don't quote me on that. It's like in the 400 kilowatt range.
Gloria, oh, yeah.
I don't have that information, but I can get you information. I can reach out to the recycling director coordinator.
Did that start October of last year? Or
That's what I
November?
think, yeah.
Could we
22?
get tours
Has it been that
of
many
the
years?
sites? Like the one on top of.
I can
the high
ask
school?
about, Yeah, so we don't have them built yet, but I think that especially with the high school, because I know that that's been something that has been pushed for a long time. I imagine that when we roll that out and energize it, we'll probably have some type of ribbon cutting ceremony. And
And a potential one is, we're looking at buying the building across the street. I don't know where it is exactly, that old building. That roof angle looks very interesting for solar.
what?
The old
Smith Baker?
Smith Baker
That's
building.
a slate.
We're looking at, we're hiring an engineer to look at it for if we can use it.
Mhm.
And in the past, what it's been is they just want to make condos out of it. Where do you put the parking? They don't want it to compete with this building, the Songest Arena, or the other where they have the box. But I think as a mixed use, it could work.
Well, I
I
think,
got a long range plan for it, but
oh, fantastic.
that's
So,
pie in the sky.
so I think you're probably right on, I don't know,
'Cause
I
the
don't,
roof is a problem according to the slates. that are
right,
falling
and
off.
I
And they're worth
think-
a fortune, those slates, by the way.
I think
More
you
than $35,000.
probably, if that's what you were looking at there, you would probably want to talk to the historic administrator, because I imagine even if there
Well, it was
is,
slated to tear down before we jumped in.
I
A little off topic,
understand that.
and I want to be respectful of everyone's
Okay.
time. It's 8:02. Is there anything, just one last thing, is there anything you could share with us about the terms of the lease? Like, what the city gets out of it and the price? Because then we can talk it up and share it with people.
I don't have those numbers with me right now
Yeah.
or off the top of my head, but I think I can get those numbers for you.
Awesome. I'll put that on my list. Does anyone have any last things? I can say a little later if you want to talk.
I think the format where you are sending this out,
Mhm.
like what we discussed our last meeting is working well. So try to do that.
Oh,
It
setting
seems
up,
like-
setting
it
out
seems
ahead of
like
time?
the communication is flowing the way we intended it to.
Excellent.
Great. That's
Great.
really good to hear.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
Catherine, for sending things out. Thank you. It's really, it is really nice. All right, well, move to adjourn, anybody, whatever the rules are.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thanks, AC. Anybody second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Cormac. All right, that's adjourned, that's it.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, I believe so. But she's doing 10 million things. So.
Lot of fun.